Hello everyone, welcome back to another Building Toronto video. My name is Gamefruitpulp. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than what my usual Building Toronto videos are all about. I haven't done one of these videos for the series in a long time anyways, but today we're going to be doing a city tour, basically a tour of everything that we've built, and we're starting in the southeast corner of the map, and we're going to sort of go through everything one by one. We're going to kind of snake our way up the map until we cover the whole thing of everything we've done. And while I go through everything, I'll sort of talk about what episode each build is showcased in. So if you want to learn more about each building, you can go to the video that it's featured in. I'm going to try and put sort of like annotations on the screen for each video, but I don't know if that's still possible. I know there was some talk a while ago about removing annotations, but I don't remember if YouTube actually did it or not. So if I can put annotations for each video, then I'll do that. If not, then you'll just have to click the video that I say, and the link to the playlist will be in the description down below. But anyways, we're going to start with the Sony Center for the Performing Arts. This was built in episode 31, or showcased in episode 31. It was built by a combination of Stormy and Mundane Glue. As you can see, it's kind of a modern looking theater. So this is one of the more recent builds. Again, I don't want to dwell too long on each build because I don't want this video to be super long, but I sort of want it to be a good showcase of everything that has been built so far. So moving west, next building is the Dominion Public Building. This was built in showcased in episode 9. It was built by Starbound. The interior still has to be done, as you can obviously see. And moving to behind it is a build that I did myself, and one of the builds that I really enjoyed doing, which is the Go Transit Bus Terminal. It's a smaller build, kind of low focus compared to all the other big things we did, but it was something that I spent a lot of time on to try and get a lot of the details right. And I really like sort of how it brings, I think a piece like this sort of really brings the map to life, just sort of with the cars and how you can sort of see this is where people would be. This is where people would be getting on and off their buses. And this is sort of one of the main arteries on how to access the city as a pedestrian. So moving on to the next build, we have RBC Plaza. So RBC Plaza is a combination of these two gold buildings that you see here. I'm going to fly around at my slow flying speed so you can see the full view. You can see these are right here. These were built near the beginning of the series. So if you want to see these being built, it's episodes 5 through 7. So it's a good chunk of videos for you to watch. I did most of this build on camera, whereas as I moved on later in the series, I did less of it on camera, more of it off camera, as I sort of prepared everything off camera and all that kind of stuff. But this was an interesting build, more of a modern style, and I wanted to try and make the glass as accurate as possible with the specific gold look, and I think it turned out pretty nicely. Moving on, we have the sort of, I would say, focal point of the series for a long time, and this would be the TD Spire Tower in Brookfield Place. This was the first building that I built on this series, and it's a building that I've built quite a few times. It's one of my favorite builds. My favorite buildings in Toronto. So if you want to see that being built, obviously episode 1, I finished it in episode 2. So if you want to check that out. And the rest of Brookfield Place, so the back buildings, the small part right there, all that kind of stuff, that would be in episodes 3 and 4. Moving on down, another part of Brookfield Place, the Hockey Hall of Fame, a little bit more detailed building compared to the rest of them in this complex. That is from episode 8. So if you want to check out that would be episode 8, where you tune in and see me work on the Hockey Hall of Fame. Interior of Brookfield Place also still has to be done. These two buildings are pretty much the only two that are left, as well as this one here. This building doesn't really have a name, so for lack of a name, I'm calling it the Trapezoid Building, because it's kind of a trapezoid. Yeah, it is a trapezoid. 4 different sides, I believe that's a trapezoid. You can correct me if it's not, but this building, I built it. Nothing really too different or too much to focus on with it. It's just a building, just an office building. They got some restaurants down there. This was built in episode 15, and again, if you want to check it out, Stormy's done some of the interior. It's coming along quite nicely, actually. I haven't looked at it for a while, and the interior is coming along. Llama on a pole, that's okay. And then moving up now to the next block, we have some buildings that have never actually been featured in an episode. This pub in the corner was built by someone trying out for the Building Toronto team that built this and then sort of never returned. But they did a nice job on this. So this looks nice, and then Stormy did the ones next to it. But again, none of that was featured in a video. The Hotel Victoria, which is this little building here, is featured in episode 20. Interesting little build. I had a lot of fun building this one, simply because I sort of tried to stick to the original layout of the floor plan as well from the 1904 version of the hotel. So that was cool. The rest of this block here, these 3 buildings, were talked about in episode 21. So if you want to catch that, you can catch that there. Moving up north a little bit to finish off this kind of section, we have 1 King West, the first condo tower we've built on the map. This build is available in episode 32. I don't build it there, but I sort of talk about the building and a little bit of info about it and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to check that out, that's where you go for that. And all the stuff north of, I believe this is Wellington. Sorry, this is King. Everything north of King, no video on yet. Hopefully that'll be coming in the future. Moving on further west, we have Commerce Court West, one of the tallest buildings we have in the map. This was built in episode 19. Pretty basic build, to be honest, but it was another one that sort of really brought the map to life, because once we started getting more of these taller towers, this was one of the first really tall towers that I did after Brookfield Place. Once these sort of tall towers started popping up in the skyline, you really started to notice what the city was and sort of started to recognize the skyline. Obviously, the big one missing is the CN Tower, but hopefully we'll get to that eventually. Continuing to move west, we have move into the TD Center. The first building we did in the TD Center was Ernest and Young Tower, which also included the Toronto Stock Exchange building, the original building. I talk about this building and I work on it in episode 22. So if you want to catch that, that'd be where you go. As for the rest of the TD Center, the other 4 buildings, I do those in episodes 26 and 28. So if you want to catch me building these black TD Center buildings, episodes 26 and 28 are the ones you'd want to watch. And moving on to the last sort of group for the Building Toronto map so far, we have this sort of block here. These buildings were all featured in one video. The Toronto Club is included in these buildings. Our first Tim Hortons is in this gray building here. These were done in episode 30. All of this area was built by Stormy, and he did a pretty good job of them. All the interiors are done. Tim Hortons is in there. And so that's pretty much everything for the Building Toronto map. Obviously, we've done a lot over the time, and we're going to continue to do quite a bit, but I wanted to sort of showcase each of the builds that we have done so that you can sort of watch individual episodes if you're new to the channel or anything like that. Additionally, I'm just going to go back to the Hotel Victoria, and I'm going back there because I sort of wanted to choose what my favorite build was, the thing I had the most fun building, and the thing that I think really looks not the best, but my favorite part of the map, and that is the Hotel Victoria. And the reason for that, one I mentioned earlier, is because of the floor plan. I really liked sort of looking back in the history of the builds in Toronto and seeing that this one I was able to sort of copy the floor plan from the original building pretty closely to what it was. So that was enjoyable, and I obviously liked as well being able to sort of have this smaller old build tucked away in a bunch of newer builds right next to a pretty tall skyscraper. I think it embodies a lot of what Toronto really goes for. But again, like I said, if you want to catch any of those specific videos that I mentioned before, if I can't annotate the videos onto the episodes onto the screen for the video, what I'll do is I'll timestamp each building, or I'll try to do something. I'll try to do something to make it easier for you to find the episodes. But the link to the playlist will be attached in the description for sure, because I do that in every Toronto video. So if you do want to check out any of the other videos, you should go there. Aside from that, if you're new to the channel, like I said, check out some of the older videos and see me actually building this stuff instead of just walking around. And that's pretty much everything, really. If you're new to the channel and you enjoyed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're a returning viewer and you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like. And share the channel with some of your friends as well. Let's keep the channel growing and active. Aside from that, I'll catch you guys all next time. My name is Gamefruitpulp. Have a good one.